Hey guys, in today's lecture, we will be dealing with soft skills. It is said that body speaks more eloquently than words. നമ്മളുടെ ശാരീരിക ഘടന, ആംഗ്യവിക്ഷേപങ്ങൾ എന്നിവ നമ്മൾ അറിയാതെ തന്നെ നമ്മൾ ആരോടാണോ സംസാരിക്കുന്നത്, ആരോടാണോ ഇടപഴകുന്നത്, ഇവരിലേക്കെല്ലാം ചില മെസ്സേജസ് അയച്ചു കൊടുക്കാറുണ്ട്. People comprehend through observing the speaker rather than merely listening to the words spoken loudly. Soft skills are about working on your personality, on your behavior patterns, your communicative skills, and interpersonal skills. You may not be getting grades for your soft skills as against your hard skills which you acquire through learning, which involve direct evaluation methods in order to analyze the way in which you have acquired knowledge. But soft skills does not involve any direct evaluation method. It cannot be measured. Soft skills become more crucial because it involves your emotional and social intelligences as well. Most people may have a greater IQ, especially the studious students may have a greater IQ or intelligence quotient, but the person or the student might be lacking in EQ or emotional quotient. He or she might not know how to speak to others, how to behave with others. So there is an amount of emotional or social and intelligence quotient which we need to acquire, and these can come under the umbrella term of soft skills. Now let me illustrate it further with the help of some slides. Now what are soft skills? Soft skills include the personal attributes, the personal traits and communication abilities needed for success on the job. Soft skills characterize how a person interacts in his or her relationship with others. So soft skills is an essential in jobs, and soft skills is an essential for on-job trainings, because it is the person's personality, his attributes, his traits that decides whether the person would succeed in his life or not. So more than communication ability, more than the ability to communicate well with others, a person must also acquire certain interpersonal skills, such as resilience, the ability to withstand any adversity is called resilience. A person must also have empathy to others. He must be able to understand others, to put himself on others' shoes. A person must also have perseverance and leadership skills. By perseverance, I mean even after repeated failures, a person must have the grit and the courage to face the adversities that life throws at them. Only then will you succeed in life. So you need to have perseverance. No matter what happens, you need to persevere. And then you must also have good leadership skills. You must be a good leader. You must be willing to take up the responsibilities that a firm might give you in the future. That is why many corporates have soft skills trainees. It is a part of their on-job training process. So in order to recruit people, they will give these newly recruited employees soft skills trainings, so that they will be able to face all the adversities while doing a job, all the adversities that they might have to face while doing a job. Now, soft skills are also something which is innate. It is there within us. That is why it is said that soft skills are personal attributes or personality traits. A person might be born an introvert, which means that the person might be reclusive, won't be willing to take part in any group activity. Or a person might be born an extrovert, which means that the person is very outgoing, gregarious. Gregarious means he is very friendly with other people, he is willing to work with others, he is willing to take up group works, and he is actively participating in group discussions. Most of us are ambiverts, which means that we come in between. We are able to express ourselves in the middle of a crowd, and also we are also introverts in the sense that we all need a me time or a personal space. So most of us are ambiverts. So these are all traits which are there innately within us. Most of the soft skills that we have as adults were acquired over the years. Now, when talking about soft skills, you might be wondering, if there is soft skills, then there might be something called hard skills, right? So if there is something called soft, then there should be an opposite to it, which means that there should be hard skills. So is there something called hard skills? Let's take a look at it. Soft skills and hard skills do exist. While soft skills focuses on communication skills, hard skill might be considered as the knowledge of the language. For example, you might have a fair knowledge on grammar and vocabulary, etc., right? You might be having a fair knowledge on the usage of words, which is your knowledge on the language, which is a hard skill which you acquired through years of learning. And the way in which you express yourself, your communication skills, comes under soft skills. So, when language knowledge comes under hard skills, communication skills comes under soft skills. Language knowledge means your knowledge of the language, be it grammar, vocabulary, the arrangement of words or syntax. You know certain things like the rules of grammar. This constitutes the language knowledge. Whereas soft skills include communication skills, the ability to put that knowledge into use, the ability to communicate with another person, that comes under soft skills. Now, hard skills are something which you acquire, which is awarded to you. It comes in the form of degrees, apprenticeships, and certificates. In a way, hard skills can be measured. Like your degrees is a sign of measurement, right? The degrees that you acquired is also a sign of measurement. It measures your ability to pass an exam, in short. And sometimes people might take up apprenticeships. They might take up a job somewhere just as a trainee or as an apprentice or as a novice, just the beginner in a job, the lowest level of the corporate ladder. So, you may take up apprenticeships and you will get certificates, experience certificates out of it, which is also a hard skill which you acquire. You may get other certificates as well if you take part in an online course. Like there are numerous courses in Coursera, Udemy, etc. And if you take part in those courses, you will get a certificate out of it. That is also a measurement of your hard skill. But soft skill is something which is a part of your personality or behavior. It cannot be measured. It is there within you. It is something which is innate. It has become a part of your personality and behavior. See where it goes? So soft skill is a part of your personality and behavior. Nobody can separate you from your soft skill because soft skill forms a part of you. Whereas hard skills are something that you acquire through learning. You may be able to produce a certificate out of it. Now, hard skills are concrete professional skills. For example, if you are able to code, then that is a hard skill that you have acquired through learning. Your ability to code as a programmer is a hard skill. Whereas soft skill is personality based and it is highly subjective. It differs from person to person and it is personality based. For each person it might change. But two people, one an introvert and the other an extrovert, might know the same coding language, which means that they will be able to acquire the same hard skills, the same set of hard skills, but they are not same at the level of acquiring soft skills. Now, soft skills are innate qualities that are developed with time. They keep on developing with time. So, these are innate qualities which take some time to develop. Over the years, you may drop a particular personality trait and adopt another. It is your life experience that makes you do that. For example, a person might have been shy at an earlier part of his childhood, but later on he or she might take up the profession of a teacher, and then she will be forced to teach, and then she will be forced to become an extrovert. So, these are some of the qualities which can develop with time, Soft skills can develop with time. Whereas hard skills are learned in classroom or with online courses or books. So, learned knowledge is called hard skills. This you acquire through your classes, through your courses, through your books, and it is same for everyone. Soft skills are hard to measure and it is difficult to define soft skills. I cannot say that I am this percent of an extrovert or I am this percent of an introvert. Soft skills are immeasurable. It is hard to measure and it is difficult to define a soft skill. I can talk this much. Nobody will be able to say that, right? Whereas hard skills are usually measurable and quantifiable. As I said, if you are able to code, then you will be able to acquire a certificate on coding. If you are able to cook, you will be able to someday take part in MasterChef and then you will be able to get the title of MasterChef. Who knows? So, hard skills are quantifiable. You can measure hard skills. Whereas soft skills are hard to measure. Now, some of the soft skills include confidence, resilience, empathy, perseverance, and leadership. And hard skills include writing, cooking, coding, and accounting. If you are a good writer, then that means you know how to read, and then you know how to express yourself fluently using words. And you may acquire or you may develop your cooking skills. You will be able to become an expert cook, sometimes by watching YouTube video tutorials. So it's as simple as that. You can acquire hard skills through learning. Coding you might know, and the students of commerce might know accounting. So these are some of the hard skills that you can acquire through learning, whereas soft skills are something which is basically innate. You can develop it over time. It takes time to develop a soft skill. So in short, summing up the argument put forth, soft skills is about your personality, your behavior patterns. It is also about your communication skills, how well you are able to communicate with another person. It is also about your interpersonal skills, how you are able to account for another human being. Now, as I said earlier, hard skills can be acquired through learning. But how will you develop soft skills? How can we develop soft skills? Soft skills are developed over time through life situations and social interactions. Suppose a person was timid while he was a child, but later on, something happened, something terrible happened in his life, and he had to live on his own. So no matter how timid the person was, at some point of his life, he need to take up the responsibility of sustaining himself. So he will become, in a way, an extrovert, because that's the only way that he could survive. Okay, so from a timid person, slowly the person might evolve into an ambivert, and then he might become an extrovert. So soft skills are developed over time through life situations and through social interactions. When you interact with other people, you broaden your mind. Okay, if you interact with only a limited number of people, and these limited number of people decides what is happening in your life, then you won't be having any development for that matter. There will be some restraint or the other always around you. But if you go around speaking to more people with diverse ideologies, with diverse thought processes, your mind and thought process would become broadened. And then you will be able to welcome a whole lot of ideas from others. And this would make you a better person. Mind you, earlier I said that a person who was an introvert or a timid person might become an extrovert. Now, certain personality traits would remain like that throughout their lives. It cannot be changed. There are different personality traits for that matter. And psychologically speaking, certain personality types won't change. But if you're an ordinary person, then you can change by developing your soft skills. Now, nature and nurture play an important role in developing soft skills. The way in which you were born, which is nature. By nature, a person might be sad in his predicament. He might always be sad. Or by nature, a person might be jovial, always happy, always willing to take part in activities. So by nature, a person might be sad or happy. So it is based on his nature. And it is also based on the way in which he is nurtured. What do you mean by nurtured? The way in which he or she is brought up. So when you grew up, your parents had a pivotal role in shaping your character. They might have asked you to take part in sports and co-curricular activities. Some parents might say to their children that you should not take part in co-curricular activities. Instead, you should focus on your studies. Some parents may encourage their children to read books. Others might say that you should not read anything except academic books. So this will in turn affect a person's individuality. It will affect a person's character and personality. So nature and nurture plays an important role in developing soft skills. As an adult, one can improve one's life skill by becoming aware of oneself and working towards correcting them. So till now, you were children, you were treated as children. But the moment you enter 18 years of age, you are entering into the threshold of adulthood. Now you have entered into adulthood. Now it's a time for you to reflect back upon your life. And it is time for you to think about yourself. Analyze oneself first. What are the skills that I lack? What do I wish to improve? This kind of introspection will help you in correcting the flaws that are there in your character or in your behavior. This might not be greater flaws, or it might not be something that needs to be corrected, but sometimes you might feel that certain aspects of your personality needs correction. It happens when you enter from adolescence to adulthood. It is the time in which you think about yourselves. So by becoming aware of oneself, by becoming aware of one's shortcomings as well as strengths, you will be able to correct yourselves. Soft skills can be developed through constant practice and repeated patterns of behavior that will get ingrained into a person's character. Okay, soft skills can be developed through constant practice and repeated patterns of behavior. Suppose you wish to become a public speaker, but you are a person who is a recluse, who has a stage fright. Each time you face a mic, you are not able to speak clearly. What can you do? You can go in front of a mirror and you can start working with the mirror. You can start talking to the mirror. You can introduce yourself first. You can take a look at the mirror and you may read out loud certain passages from your textbook, and then you can straighten up your gaze, look straight at the mirror, and then try to remember whatever that you have read and say those words. So these are the things that you can do to develop your communication skills. If you are a person who wish to address a large crowd, but you feel stage fright, you can always practice your speech in front of the mirror. That way, you will be able to sound confident. You will be able to communicate better. When you are addressing a mirror, you will also be using a whole lot of gestures. You can also use hand gestures for that matter. You can look at the way in which you express yourself. The movement of your eyes do matter. The way in which you position yourself, your posture matters. The gestures that you use matter. You must be able to make an eye contact with each and every person that is there in the gallery. So from the podium, you must be able to make an eye contact with each and every person that is there in front of you. If you have a barrier in speaking to a large crowd, this is one of the ways in which you can overcome that barrier. Now let's look at a few elements that can be corrected through practice. You can correct your posture through practice. You can correct your gesture and eye contact through practice. And these are just 3 elements that are mentioned there in your textbook. But there are n number of things that you need to focus on while you're focusing on soft skills. So these are the 3 basic elements that you need to focus on, which are posture, which means the way in which you carry yourself, the gestures, which means the expressions that you give out using your hands. Your face might give out a whole lot of expressions. The way in which you stand is, again, it comes under posture. The way in which you stand, the way in which you sit. You must not slouch. You must not bend forward. You must be able to make an eye contact with each and every person around you. Eye contact is a must even in interpersonal communication. Even if you are speaking with your friend, you must be able to make a firm eye contact with the other. Now let's take a look at the first and the major skill that you need to internalize in order to seem more confident. Posture. A confident person will stand straight with shoulders held straight. This posture fills your lungs with more oxygen and makes you look more energetic. So whenever you are standing, you must stand straight. While you're walking also, sometimes people might slouch a bit. Students these days do slouch because they carry heavy school bags. Okay, they used to carry heavy school bags back at school, so now students do slouch. But a confident person always stands straight. His shoulders must be held straight, like the woman over here. She's also clenching her fist. So a confident person will stand straight with shoulders held straight. This posture fills lungs with more oxygen. So when your lungs get more oxygen, you will look more energetic. You will get more oxygen and then you will look more energetic. Always walk with your head held high. It's also a sign of confidence. Whenever you walk, you must be walking with your head held high. Some personality experts and some soft skills trainers do suggest that if you are unable to walk with your head held high, or if you're a person who always slouch means if you walk bending your spine and looking down, if you are a person who always walks bending your spine and looking down, some soft skills trainers at times say that you must place a book atop your head and then walk. So if you place a book atop your head and then walk, what happens is that you must be able to balance the book that is there in your head. If you walk like that, you will be able to maintain a perfect balance. You will be able to walk with your spines held straight and head held high. So this is a walking technique which is given to the beauty pageant participants, like the ones who participate in Miss India and Miss Universe and Miss World. If they slouch a bit, this is a training that is given to them. That is, a book is placed on their head and they are asked to walk balancing this book on their head so that the book might not fall, and by they will learn how to walk straight with their spine held straight, with their shoulders held straight and head held high. You must not and you must never slouch and look down. That is a sign of lack of confidence. Now, when addressing a gathering, your posture is of significance, or your posture has a greater importance. Your posture should be confident, with eyes moving about the hall. So when you're addressing a gathering, you must not be facing the wall and then just speaking like this monotonously without the other person understanding. You must always look at each and every person that is there in that hall. You must look them in the eye and then speak. So the posture should be confident and the eyes must move around the hall. If you have watched seasoned orators or seasoned speakers for that matter, people who give out speech, if you look at the politicians, they always address the gathering. They look at each and every person who is sitting in front of them and they often address them, right? So this is a sign of confidence. The eyes should move around the hall. One can adopt a confident posture at all times by holding your eyes at level of eye, placing your shoulders straight and head held high. Whenever you are speaking to another person too, you can adopt this posture of confidence. You must always speak to a person looking them in the eye. Now this has got benefits on its own, because at times it is said that if a person lies, the person might not look at you in your face. He might not look at you directly in your eyes. If a person is lying, he might fidget around a bit with his eyes. Okay? People who are hiding things from you might often hide their glance too. They won't be giving you their glance, they won't be looking at you. They will be looking at some other thing or the other. That shows that they are seasoned liars. So whenever you are addressing a person, please look them in the eye. And that's a sign of confidence, as well as it helps you in identifying whether the opposite person is saying the truth or not. One can adopt a confident posture at all times by holding your eyes at level of the eye, placing your shoulders straight and head held high. You must place your shoulders straight. Always place your head high. Now, arms can be relaxed and can be used minimally to aid communication. So usually when you talk with other people, just be relaxed. You must place your arms relaxed. If you're tensed, then your arms will, slouch to the front. So you must be relaxed. You must just let it be. Let your arms loose. Arms must be relaxed. And you must not use your hands in aiding communication. You must not use too much non-verbal communication. Using your gestures, using hands or eyes, etc., or facial expressions to communicate is one way of communicating with another person. And that's called non-verbal communication. But whenever you're talking with another person or whenever you're uttering a speech, try to minimize the usage of gestures like hand gestures. You must try to minimize hand gestures. Another thing is that posturing or postural echoing can be done for effective interpersonal communication. If you wish to communicate with another person, you can echo the way in which they sit or the way in which they conduct themselves. So it is called postural echoing. Okay, so this again that I took from a website, and this shows how a person is trying to make an eye contact with the other. And look at this lady, she is not trying to make an eye contact with her, but she wishes to make an eye contact with the other person. So whenever you are speaking, you must make an eye contact with the other person. It shows that you are confident enough and that you are not lying. So always try. Right. Another thing is that at times a person might mimic or mirror the other person with whom he or she is communicating. Now, an interesting fact is that if you like a person or if you like the conversation of a person, the person might sit closer to you. The person's knees would be pointed towards you. You know, when they sit, their kneecap or their knees and their will be pointed towards you. They will always try to sit as close to you as they can. But at times a person might sit at a distance from you. That shows that the person is not happy with you and the person is not interested in you. So if a person turns towards you and sit, then that means that the person is willing to hear you. Otherwise, the person is diffident and he does not wish to hear you. That's the meaning of maintaining a distance from you. Now, let me give you an example for postural echoing. I have tried to include a video, so let's take a look at it. So here we go. This is a brief video on postural echoing. Do watch it so that you would get an idea of what postural echoing is all about.
The ways in which we imitate people unconsciously also suggest the extent to which we are engaged with them. So if I'm sitting like this and the other person is attentive to what I'm saying, he would probably copy my mannerisms. And that is more or less what we are seeing here. This is called movement mirroring or postural echo. Thank you.
So what you witnessed just now is postural echoing, which means that if a person is interested in you in one way or the other, the person might try to connect with you by the way in which you communicate with them. So for example, if the person sits close to you, the other person might also sit close to you. If the person keeps his arms crossed and then starts speaking with you, suddenly you will keep your arms crossed and start speaking with them. If the person suddenly place their finger closer to their nose or they scratch their nose a bit, there is a tendency innately in you to scratch your nose. So this is called postural echoing. It happens when the conversations are engaging. You try to imitate the person who is speaking with you. This happens unconsciously, and at times it can also be done consciously to irritate the other person. And it is often used in drama and in theatre as a device to help actors act. It is used as a device in workshops, acting workshops, because in postmodern theatre, this concept of mirroring is often used. You might be familiar with mirror choreography, right? Where one person might be dancing in one way and the other person might be imitating the way in which the person dances. It's like they have placed a mirror in between them. Now, when talking about postures, it is important for you to remember that certain postures are considered to be defensive. So there are certain don'ts when you talk with a person. You must not keep your arms crossed, because keeping your arms crossed means you're agitated. You don't like the person, you're agitated, you're trying to hide something from them. An open arm always show that the person is ready to speak with you, he is welcoming, he is ready to hear whatever that you wish to hear. So keeping your arms crossed means he's not at all convinced with what you say. He or she is not at all convinced with what you say. If a person keep their arms crossed, then please don't explain yourselves to them. You can just stop explaining yourselves, because the person might never listen. Because keeping your arms crossed is a defensive posture, like this lady over here, right? She is expressing her contempt. In her face it is there, in her smirk it is there. Just look at her lips, there is a smirk which indicates that she is showing contempt, and she has kept her arms crossed, which means that she is not at all happy with what you are speaking. Then another negative impression that can be created using posture is clenched fist. Usually, when a macho man is confronted, he is often shown as clenching his fist, right? If it is a hero, a villain speaks something untoward towards him, the hero immediately clenches his fist as to express his anger. So clenched fist is again a negative impression. The next thing is feet shuffling. Feet shuffling in the roughest sense might be something akin to നിലത്ത് കാലുകൊണ്ട് കളമെഴുതുക എന്ന് പറയാറില്ലേ പണ്ടത്തെ കാലത്ത് മലയാളികളിൽ, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഷൈ ആയിട്ടുള്ള, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ കോയി ഷൈ ഒക്കെ ആയിട്ടുള്ള സ്ത്രീകൾ വളരെ നമ്രമുഖികളായി നിന്ന് കാലുകൊണ്ട് കളം വരയ്ക്കും എന്ന് പറയും. ദിസ് ഇസ് കോൾഡ് ഫീറ്റ് ഷഫ്ലിംഗ്. നൗ ഫീറ്റ് ഷഫ്ലിംഗ് ഷോസ് ദാറ്റ് യു ആർ ഇൻഡിസൈസീവ്. It shows that you are shy or coy, and you are too timid to engage in a conversation with another person. So that is also a negative posture. So these are some of the negative postures. So what are some of the positive things that you can do with your posture? You must always walk with your head held high. You must not slouch. You must always stand straight, walk straight. These are some of the positive things that you can do with your posture. So please keep all these things in mind while you're going to attend an interview for the first time. Always appear confident. Don't let your innate sensibilities affect you. Try to hone your soft skills. You can always do it. You can always keep a good posture. You can develop your posture. You can develop your communication skills, and you can develop your eye contact with the other person. So soft skills are something that can be acquired over time. Okay, we can acquire it at any age. The thing is that you must be conscious about your pitfalls. You must be conscious about your strengths and weaknesses. Once you become aware of your strengths and weaknesses, it would become easier for you to hone your soft skills. So with that, I come to the end of this lecture. Thank you for listening. In the next lecture, we'll be dealing with gestures and eye contact. Thank you.